Lionel Messi made it his 6th Ballon d'Or yesterday night, and we also had Liverpool players, 3 of them by the way, in the top 5. That was Virgil van Dijk, Sadio Mane and Mohamed Salah. There's not so much you can disagree with on that. Welcome to the Nutmeg on Guardian TV. My name is Solomon Fowowe, and Andrew Ibeh joins us in the studios, a sports journalist and one person I really respect when it comes to this business. Welcome.
Thank you, Solomon. It's good to be here.
Yeah, so we're going straight into the matter. Now, we saw the Ballon d'Or list come out yesterday, and now, like I said in my introduction, there's not so much you can disagree with that. But we've seen different quarters come to make a case for why Lionel Messi shouldn't be the best player and it probably should be Virgil van Dijk from certain quarters. Do you agree or disagree with that?
In some ways, yes. In some ways, no. The Ballon d'Or has never really favored defensive players.
Okay.
In the history of the Ballon d'Or, only 3 defenders have ever won it. Franz Beckenbauer, Matteo Sammer, Fabio Cannavaro. Every other time, it had always been offensive-minded players. That's the way football is. Football is about scoring goals, and if you're a defender and you want to actually win this, you also need to do the extra.
Well, some people will tell you football is about defending goals too.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah, the best form of you start building your team from the defense going forward, but not very many people would cheer at a defender stopping goals than they would cheer at a forward scoring goals. Football is all about goals, and the most important players on the field of play when it comes to the award thing, when it's award season, it's always the forwards or midfielders who can score. And in this case, Lionel Messi tops the chart.
Now, for Virgil van Dijk that won the Champions League, that got to the finals of the UEFA Nations League, don't you think those things should weigh a little more in his favor when you're comparing to Lionel Messi, who only won that's the Spanish La Liga and I think the Copa del Rey last season? So you're thinking that if it were down to your impact in your team, and we saw the sort of impact that Virgil van Dijk had on that team, that immediately he came into that side, the defense was a whole lot better, and they elevated themselves from becoming finalists to becoming champions of the UEFA of Europe now. So you're thinking that it should be Virgil van Dijk and not Lionel Messi. But do you have any case to make for Lionel Messi?
In Lionel Messi's case, what can we say? He's, aside from Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, there hasn't been any other player like those guys. It's just unfortunate that both of them actually came in a particular in the same generation. But Messi stands way ahead so many other players in the world. Van Dijk, yes, the most influential player Liverpool has signed in the last 20, 30 years. There hasn't been anyone like him. I mean, you can't find a defender like Van Dijk in world football. Liverpool recorded a major coup in getting Van Dijk from Southampton at that particular time. But give or take, it still doesn't favor defenders. The journalists that voted for the Ballon d'Or, mind you, it's not like the FIFA best where national team coaches and captains decide to vote. Probably if that was the case, it might have been different, considering what Van Dijk had done since the last
the best award itself.
The best award and every other thing. Van Dijk had been remarkable. He has even started scoring goals.
At the last game for Liverpool, it was the one who got 2 goals.
Exactly. And the last game for Barcelona as well, and Messi scored an incredible goal. That guy too much now.
Yeah. It really is phenomenal. And Van Dijk, when he was just accepting how everything ended up, he said it was an amazing year for himself. But unfortunately, there are a couple of players that are unnatural. I think Messi is towards the unnatural place. It was Lionel Messi. But when you look outside the top, that's the number 1 and number 2. We're looking at Cristiano Ronaldo on 3rd, Sadio Mane 4th, Mohamed Salah 5th, Kylian Mbappe 6th, Alisson 7th, Robert Lewandowski 8th, Bernardo Silva 9th, and Riyad Mahrez 10th. Do you agree with the way they are listed?
Not necessarily. I think those guys just voted 1 or 2 people in there based on their reputation. Let me be more specific. I'm talking about Cristiano Ronaldo. He probably doesn't really deserve to finish 3rd ahead of Sadio Mane. Probably his reputation worked in favor of him, and if Mane was European and Mane was playing in the European Championships rather than the Africa Cup of Nations, where he distinguished himself, he was one of the best players at the Africa Cup of Nations. I believe that should have been enough for Mane to even place 3rd. But for some reason, the guys that voted, the powers that be, felt, oh, Cristiano Ronaldo, that guy that won the Ballon d'Or 5 times, deserves to be placed 3rd.
And also in the top 10, you have Riyad Mahrez. I'm not so sure he's meant to be there, although he won with Algeria at the AFCON. But you're also looking at his impact on that side. That side, a couple of flicks.
He wasn't the most influential Algerian
exactly
player.
On that side. And even in his club career, that's with Manchester City last season, he didn't do so well. It was
last season, he has carried that into
Leroy
this season as
Sané
well. Yeah.
ahead of him and a couple of other players there. So
and this season, Bernardo Silva is playing ahead of him.
Exactly. So
and even when he's on the field of play, his Manchester City teammates tend not to play the ball towards his
so
direction.
I'm not so sure if he should be in the top 10.
And
rounding off, that's 215. That's all we can get into. There's Frankie de Jong, there's Raheem Sterling, Eden Hazard, Kevin De Bruyne, and Matthijs de Ligt. I think I'm good enough with that, with the fact that Sterling is placed highly, is rated highly. The truth is, he has had a major influence on that Manchester City side. You know, he's one person that has delivered. Exactly, he has delivered at a consistently high level ever since he joined. Not joined since Pep Guardiola
came
exactly
in.
joined Manchester City. But it's incredible to see the sort of growth that he has had. So if you were to predict for next year, although we've not gotten into it yet, what do you think is going to be finishing first three?
For next year, expect 1 or 2 Liverpool players in there.
Again?
Expect Van Dijk. Expect Sadio Mane.
Okay.
This time around,
Mane
is going to be in there. And the usual suspects.
Lionel Messi.
Forget Cristiano Ronaldo. He's not going to be in there.
Well, you're saying it with so much certainty.
I kind of have that feeling.
Well, it's so great that you're having such feelings. I'm not sure if Ronaldo fans come for you. Well, I'm not going to be having it. Thank you so much for talking to us.
In case they don't know, I'm a Ronaldo fan.
Incredible! And you're so quick to write him off.
Yeah, he hasn't had the best of season at Juventus. He hasn't been as influential as he usually should be. You know, and the Portuguese national team, his influence is beginning to wane. As he gets older, the national team coaches have found a way of using him sparingly, only using him for very important games. Possibly by the time the next European Championship, the next European Championship takes
2020.
place. Yes, maybe that will be the next time we'll start thinking of Ronaldo winning the Ballon d'Or. But for now, it's going to be between Messi, Sadio Mane, and Virgil van Dijk.
Well, that's if any other person doesn't perform a madness between now and the next time.
It's a crazy world of football.
Yeah, thank you so much for talking to us on the Nutmeg.
It's always a pleasure, Solomon.
So that's all we can take on the Nutmeg. If you're not subscribed to this YouTube channel, you should absolutely do that. Awesome content from Guardian Nigeria for you. Thank you so much for watching once again. This has been the Nutmeg.